Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome to yet another fantastic round of Virtual Motorsport Online TCUK Championship action. My name is Matthew Churgwin. I'm joined this evening by Mr. Philip Morby. Say hello, sir.
Evening. We're back. Round two.
Round two, races 4, 5, and 6, and we're at one of the classic staples of touring car racing, certainly in the United Kingdom, Brands Hatch and the excellent Indy configuration. They've been racing here since the 1950s on various variations of this little 1.2 mile, fast yet challenging, almost oval. And with just 4 drivers separated by 4 points after our first 3 races, anything could happen, and it probably will.
Yeah, I mean, 4 points in 3 races, and even qualifying, obviously being that such a short circuit, it's going to bring all these cars together. We've got 25 drivers tonight. Qualifying has just finished, and the gap from second to 24 was about 6/10.
Incredibly close, as I'm sure the racing will be tonight and throughout the rest of our season. Here you can see the schedule. We're here tonight at Brands Hatch on the Indy configuration. 2 weeks' time, we'll be going to Thruxton, my local and favourite circuit on the calendar, for more fast, thrilling spills and thrills. We'll be going on to Oulton Park and the Island Circuit configuration before our little summer break, before we then head to Croft in Yorkshire. Snetterton and the 300 layout will follow in September, with our visit north of the border to Knockhill in the 24th of September. And then we start to close out our season with the final 3 rounds, revisiting Donington Park, visiting the home of motorsport, Silverstone, and then we're back here once again for the GP circuit. I've always been torn, Phil, between the GP and the Indy circuit. They're both unique, but do you have a favourite configuration here at Brands?
Oh, yeah. This is probably my second least favourite circuit on the calendar. I can't get on with the Indy circuit. The thing about it is it's frantic. You're going into turn 1, you're down there, and already you're thinking about your braking point for 2, you're getting out of there already, having to line yourself up for 3, you get a bit of a breather, and then it's just... I can't get on with Surtees, McLaren, Clearways, and Clark Curve. You get a long rest, and then you're back on it again, and it's just frantic all the time. Like I said, 50. I think we're doing 45-second laps in qualifying here, 45, 46, and it's just continuous.
It's a little roller coaster, but let's see how our drivers have navigated qualifying. And here is our starting grid for the first race. We have Tom Stevens for Brabham X Forseti qualifying in pole position, in a very close grid here, followed by Aidan Carter. And I missed the other 2 there, unfortunately. But moving on, we've got in P5 Callum Wilson and Alan Axon bringing up the front-wheel drive cars here. We've got Callum Cripps and Chris Butcher rounding out the top 8, with Herlock and Mitch Marie rounding out that top 10. Jack London is the first of the Calamity cars to like Mitch Marie is, with Dan Kell following him in P12. Tom Hackett and Scott Mitchell-Marm bringing out the top 14. Got the first of the Drake cars, Cam Brewster starting in 15th, with Cedo Wire in 16th. We've got Thomas O'Leary and then Emil Salberg rounding out the 9th row. Finally, bringing up row 9 there is Jordan Osborne and Matt Richards. Then just to round out our final few vehicles, starting on the grid here, we've got Archie Jardine for Jardine Motorsport in 21st, Ben Willis for Drake in 22nd, Martha Allington there in 23rd, and then just finally, last but not least, running out the field, we've got Nathan Croak in the Craven Machine Hyundai, starting 25th tonight.
Yeah, that was Alan Smith there in 24th, I believe. 25 drivers. Like I said, not much in it. We've got a couple of... parish notices, I suppose I could call them. We're going through. Jordan Osborne actually will be starting at the back of the grid. He has a 15-place grid drop from the previous rounds, so 2 incidents involved, a 5-place and a 10-place drop, so that will send him at the back of the grid. And then, yes, you saw there Tom Hackett is in for Tom Mould tonight. One Tom in for another. It's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. It's also worth noting this is the local track for 2 of our drivers, indeed Jordan Osborne and our current championship leader, Thomas O'Leary.
Yes, indeed. And I believe it was O'Leary who finds himself around P15 or so. So it's his local track. Hopefully he can use some of that local knowledge to navigate his way forward. And of course, we're featuring the HEMS boost system. And, unfortunately, as the championship leader, he's got a bit of a disadvantage to have to manage in this first race. Just a very limited amount of boost compared to all of those around him.
Yes, so for this race, all the drivers 8th and on backwards will have 12 laps of using boost. You can use that boost for 15 seconds of the lap, so basically a third of the lap, really. And you can trigger it once the car is going above 115 kilometers an hour. And then the number of laps you get diminishes, and the speed at which you can activate it increases as you get further up the grid. So because it's based on championship order, poor O'Leary there starting 15th, he gets 5 laps of boost compared to 12 for everyone else, and he can also only activate it once he is above 135 kilometers an hour, not 115. And then it goes that second in the championship gets 6 laps, third in the championship gets 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and everyone else gets 12 laps. So he's in the middle of the field. He's got that local knowledge, but he hasn't really got much boost to use, and he's going to struggle to use it. Out of Druids into Graham Hill Bend, it will be basically on the main straight.
We'll have to see how he navigates that one, but our grid are on their formation lap. 24 lap races here for you this evening, as we've got cars and these rear-wheel drive BMWs well and truly trying to get some tyre temperature. My goodness, hold on to the cars there, gentlemen.
Yeah, and also should probably note is that unlike British touring cars, we only do 1 formation lap here. They don't get 2. So we're going to be, literally already going around to the final corner and going onto the grid straight away. And you can see there the number of laps that each driver has for using boost in this first race.
Of course, we'll have the little graphic popping up when they are using that boost, and also keep an eye out on the tyre allocations. We've got an interesting set of choices from our drivers tonight in terms of when they're using the option soft tyre. So we'll talk you through that as the evening proceeds. So we've just got the final few cars rounding their way around Clark Curve.
We've only got those 3 cars. You can see Richardson, Wilson and Selberg are using softs in this race 1.
So yeah, very few cars, and we'll have to see what they can do with it. So as our grid slowly but surely takes their starting positions, we'll get ready for those lights, and we will go racing for round 4.
I'm going to keep an eye on Leary. He's actually starting 17th. Let's see how high he can get up in this race 1.
All right, so unless my eyes but deceive me, there appears to be a car in the gravel. That's certainly not the ideal starting position. Looks like they're making their way into their grid spot now. There we go. And as we just wait for those lights.
The long awkward pause as we wait for them to happen. Everyone gets into position, so hopefully any second now we'll see lights on and lights out.
Certainly building the suspense here for the first race this evening. There's the lights coming on. And we are go. The classic little droop as they start and drop down into the hill. And no, we've got a contact immediately with BMWs into the wall.
Oh dear, that's a mess already. In fact, to be fair to everyone, they've done pretty well getting round it. This does mean O'Leary has gone from 17th up to 8th.
It's not an ideal start for those on the front row, but some definitely benefiting by just, unfortunately, or fortunately I should say, being at the right place at the right time. So it looks like everyone's just about gathered it up as they're now running down towards Surtees for the first time. Yeah,
that was Aidan Carter that got spun round, and interesting is his teammate is O'Leary. So that was bad things for Richards and Co. 1 driver, and good things for the other, as there's a battle for the lead already.
Yes, indeed. We've got BMW versus Honda Civic. We've got, I think that was a Calamity car going into the pit lane, perhaps some damage from that first little melee. And we've got Neil well and truly following Richardson closely. And we've got the Ford Focus there of Butcher in close pursuit as well. We've also got the, I believe, Unlimited Cupra of Axon and Hurlock having a good fight.
Yep, we're going to get a replay now of this start. So what happened here? So we obviously got Neil there on the left in first. We've got Carter on the right. So not a very good start from Carter. But then Neil kind of bogs down, and his teammate kind of goes for the middle, makes it 3 wide, and it's just so unlucky. Obviously, a couple of Hondas there, kind of exit stage left, but everyone at Hyundai going backwards for good measure. And it kind of keeps going. But they kind of managed to sort themselves out before the exit of turn 1. But yeah, such a shame there for Carter.
Indeed, Richardson is well and truly getting on with the job, though. He's built himself a nice second gap, setting himself the fastest lap of the race in the process, running down through Paddock Hill Bend here for the 3rd time up towards Druids. Looks like everyone's very much just kind of starting to settle down and get into a rhythm here. It's a real fantastic little momentum circuit, Brands Hatch, Indy. If you lose that momentum, you can find yourself quickly being freight drained, being passed by a whole set of cars behind you.
You can. I'm just looking. Martha Allington has also retired. She was unlucky at the start of lap 2. Looks like they kind of go into turn 1, just lock the rears, and well, rather than turning right, they've turned left and sadly flipped the car. So that will explain why they've retired in this race.
That's a pity. Nice move here from O'Leary, just working on 5th place Axon. Looks like he's going to complete that one. Lovely little move on the brakes. Good racing room left between the two, and down they go to Paddock Bend. O'Leary on the move in his BMW.
There it is, and it's Liam near. Quite a few cars running wide there at the down Paddock Hill. But they're all just surviving. I mean, this is exactly what Neil wanted as he goes up to now into 4th position. Yeah, he's going from 17th, and he's kind of, I think having some issues with the old timing tower. He is still in 5th, sorry, but he's close, he's definitely a podium on the cards here, which you would have expected at the start of this race, starting 17th.
Not at all, but sometimes that is the way the cookie crumbles. You just got to focus on your race, get those laps in, hit your marks, and who knows what might happen ahead of you. And while there was a rallycross circuit here at Brands Hatch, no longer. It looks like our drivers still want to try and keep that tradition alive at least. But there we go. We've got Archie Jardine there having a little bit of a scrap. I believe that was with Stevens. Stevens was getting around the outside of him there. So another good move done there, as we're now just having a look at Richardson. Nice and serenely at the front, just running his race.
Yeah, a couple of seconds ahead, and it kind of avoids the chaos of what was happening behind him, and also what happened ahead of him at the start of that race. So was very lucky to kind of keep it out of trouble. And run his own race, as you said, and just see what happens at the back. I'm currently looking at battles up and down. Everyone's so close. Yeah, Selberg and teammate Scott Mitchell-Marm as they go through the final corner. I'm sure they'll be talking to each other. When to use the boost, who's using what, when, and don't take each other out, and just kind of do, like I said, help each other to improve their team.
Absolutely. Kings Racing had a great couple of results in the first round, so hopefully they'll be able to continue to build that. And always good when you've got teammates pushing each other on to try and build and get a bit more pace, momentum, and championship results off the back of it. But it would appear if they continue to squabble a little bit, they might have a bit of a queue forming behind them to have a go as well. So they have to keep working together, as you say, Phil.
Yeah, and I mean, conveniently for O'Leary in 5th is that he's got a bit of a gap, 1 second gap to the car behind him, which means he can push forward, and he's right on the tail of Herlock. And then, I think they're all slowly catching up to 2nd place Louis Neal here. So I think there may be a cork in the bottle at one point. So yeah, it's kind of keep going. I mean, like I said, we're already nearly a third through the race already. It's just kind of insane how quick this. It's one of the shorter race times as. O'Leary thinks about the outside and try and cut underneath. Nope, just kind of give a little nudge and say, come on, mate, let's kind of keep going, and then we'll battle it out later.
Absolutely. Herlock just positioning his car nicely there on the apex of Druids. No, not this way, thank you very much. And if they all work together, they will catch Butcher and Neil ahead of them. Just having a quick look at the boost usage, it looks like Butcher actually hasn't used any boost yet. Meanwhile, Richardson on the button as I speak, just trying to continue to maintain his gap and control on the race. Hello to all of you watching, of course, and just seeing that Martha's just put that unfortunately their force feedback died and there was no quick fix, so that's a real pity. Virtual racing, we might not have obviously car failures, but we have failures of our own, so sorry to hear that. Hopefully we'll see you in the next one.
Yes, I mean, if there's any consolation, it was an absolutely spectacular crash into turn 1. That explains the sudden hard left. It just, like I said, doesn't look like something locked up, and if you've got no force feedback, you're going to struggle through here, as Richardson's gap is now up to 4 seconds. So as there's a battle now here between Cameron Brewster and who's that around him? That would be Callum Wilson and Callum Cripps. Oh, a battle of the cows.
Indeed, it's the Brabham. Oh my goodness me! That's certainly a way to go through McLaren and Clearways, but. The drifting wide line not working out for Cameron there, as we had a little brief battle, as you say, of the Cals and the Honda Civics.
Yeah, that's unfortunate there, because loses 3 places and he's out of the points. So that's really unfortunate. And seeing O'Leary still battling the back of Herlock, making sure he's there as we go into Druids with these 3. Oh, a little bit of a nudge. Hurry up, let's get a move on, guys.
Yeah, just Smith and Osborne, I think that was, just taking advantage of that. Again, loss of momentum onto the Brabham straight there for Brewster. So hopefully he can recover, eyes forward, and make some more headway towards 15th place and the start of those points-paying positions.
I think we've got to watch 5th for a bit, because O'Leary's looking around the outside of Herlock here into turn 1, as we see a replay of Martha's unfortunate incident.
Oof.
O'Leary on the outside, meanwhile, at Paddock Hill, looking for... He's going to be on the outside. Herlock's doing brilliant here and holding the inside line all the way through Paddock, all the way through Graham Hill, and just... Druids into Graham Hill, and just not letting O'Leary get away. But I think at that point he's now starting to sacrifice. Yeah, the gap to third there is starting to increase, and sixth place Tom Stevens is looking to get involved now.
Indeed. So far so good for O'Leary there. He's made himself a good bit of headway with that obviously starting incident from 15th place or so. So this is good for his championship hopes. And you got to think on that big picture, of course. It's obviously ideal and desired to be winning every race, but I think you got to do a little bit of preservation if you want to look for that big championship prize. Now looking here at... now we're going back to PE5 as we've got O'Leary now looking all the way around the outside, getting the back end of that BMW well and truly sideways to try and carry some momentum around the outside. Didn't quite work that time. Again, the Herlock Defence Masterclass still in session, but yet they're still vaguely in touch with Busher just ahead.
Yeah, there's also Tom Hackett, first race this evening with VMO TCUK 2025, has also retired. He lost his rear wing in that massive incident through lap 1. Kept going for quite a few laps with no rear wing. So, surprise, surprise, was a bit unstable through the corners. And he has sadly retired the car. So that's him out as well tonight, this race.
That's a pity. He'll hopefully be back in the next one, as we just have a yellow flag in Sector 3. Hopefully nothing too serious there, but certainly was quite interesting. Oh no, we've got Wilson in the gravel on the Brabham Straight. He's gone off quite a long way along there. That's a bit of an unusual one.
Oh, he's got Jardine on the outside, and then has kind of turned in on him a little bit. So yeah, that's a bit unfortunate. That's going to probably be a paddling later. I think that's probably him retiring. Yeah. So here we go. He gets nudges. Yeah, he nudges a little bit, and then I think the nudge doesn't help, and that Toyota could have held the outside a little bit more, but wanted to be more on the racing line. But Callum was there really, so they're still fighting these guys.
So Stevens has entered the picture, and he's passed both of them. So fantastic work there from the Brabham X Ferretti driver. Now can O'Leary take some advantage here as well? And it looks like he might be able to.
Yeah, he's just kind of pushing that BMW ahead of him. Going, go on, get through the corner. I've got a chance here. But he's on the outside now for Graham Hill.
Herlock coming back. He's not making it easy, and we'll have to keep a look. Neither of them are on the boost. Who's going to be brave through here? Oh, onto the grass, O'Leary.
Interesting overtake. Yeah, well, it's going to go sideways through. I think not quite sure on that one. There may have been all four wheels off the circuit, but I'm sure we'll have to see later how that one works out. But the Jordan, meanwhile, has checked out, still 3 seconds ahead. Louis kind of in a bit of no man's land with a second gap to the car behind as Chris Butcher goes wide at Paddock Hill. And then, the battle, though, is this for left, third, fourth, fifth, sixth.
So as we've got little battle pack starting to form, just focusing now on P14 Cameron Booster, recovering from a moment a few laps ago, back into the points. I think he's looking at the back of the Toyota there, I believe, of Jardine, as they run down into Graham Hill Bend. So recovery there for the Drake driver, as we've got a few cars exploring the track limits on the outside of Graham Hill Bend there.
These racing drivers will take it, give them an inch, they'll take a mile. It's kind of lining yourself up. Let's see if Callum Brewster looks at using any boost on this bit, because the other guys are pulling the waves. We have 10 laps to go. Yeah, like I said, flying through these laps, nearly 2/3 of the way through. Richardson making good use of those softs. I'm trying to see how the other three. Wilson obviously retired, and Selberg is currently 7th. And quite a few laps of boost still to go, so hopefully making use of it.
Indeed, as I believe Brewster just having a look around the outside of Druids there, and nothing on that time around. Yeah, interesting to see the drivers using their boost. Again, another strategic element. Ooh, a little bit of a rub, a little bit of a touch there on the exit. Interesting to see how the drivers are using that boost. Of course, the circuit being so short, the minimum activation speed you mentioned, Phil, it's going to be tricky, I think, to use all of that allocation up.
I think he'll just be using it, a lot of it will just be using it all out of Clark Curve and just bombing it all the way along. This is probably the longest bit you have the chance of using it. As we see, Brewster is using it all the way along this spout. That looks like we don't get the icon to say he's finished using it. So yeah, in that instance, he didn't use the full 15 seconds on that lap. but still counts as him using it on that lap as well. Look at this kind of synchronized sliding through Paddock Hill, these three.
Up, over and under again, and unfortunately a little bit of contact there into Druids for Jardine. Here comes the Drake car, I think that is of Willis, trying to make some headway down towards Graham Hill, round the outside. That'll be brave. Can he get it done round the outside of the Cupra? Well, they're still door to door, side by side, running towards Surtees, and the Cupra completes and defends his position there, down into Clearways. Good little scrap here.
Yeah, brilliant little scrap. The gaps between the top guys are slowly kind of extending out now. Butcher's kind of half a second between him and the car in front and the car behind. O'Leary's got a bit of a gap now up there. Still in fifth. I think if you'd offered him fifth at the start of this race, he would have happily taken it from 17th. But yeah, like I said, Jordan now is kind of just coming up to three-quarter race distance and 3.5 second gap, and quite happily just plodding along.
So sometimes you want boring races like this, but he's doing a fantastic job. Just keep hitting those marks, and before he knows it, this roller coaster of a race will be over. But we've got a nice little battle forming here, Stevens and Butcher. Stevens having used a lot of boost to get back to his position. We're just jumping back here. We've got Dan Kell, I believe that's on Jardine, going around the outside in the Calamity car. Not quite doing it there into Clearways this time around, but got a nice little scrap for that final podium position, and we've got a huge disparity in boost usage there.
Yeah, as you mentioned there, obviously O'Leary using all this boost to get back up to where he is, and yeah, I'm waiting for it to, I'm now waiting for it to cycle around to get some numbers and information out of it. But yeah, I mean, these guys are literally fighting for 18, 17, 16. There's no points. It's up to points down to 15th. Osborne is a second and a half up the road in 15th place, and you kind of need to fight each other and also try and push on to get that last points paying position.
Absolutely. Butcher and his loadout Ford Focus under pressure from Stevens, running into Paddock Hill Bend. Just hearing that Stevens has now used all of his boost allocation, so that is going to be interesting to see how can he continue with just natural momentum and pace, get by this Ford Focus. Certainly seems that the BMWs are going well here this evening, but what tricks and what boost does Butcher have left to use to try and keep Stevens behind?
He's got 5 more laps of it, so I think he'll be fine. If anything, Stevens should be a little bit worried about O'Leary. Okay, the gap from 4th to 5th is 6/10, but 2 laps of boost and he'll be right back on him.
Yes, indeed. So always one of those, I personally try and when I look to overtake someone, give them time, try and figure out a safe place to pass. But when you do have a car bearing down on you, it does rather ratchet up the pressure. So I have to see how Stephen handled that one. Here we are looking at Wire, currently in 10th place. He's in hot pursuit there of the Calamity Focus of, I believe that's Axon. Mitch Marie, beg your pardon. And we've got the Honda Civic, the Brabham Civic there, looking around the outside of the Unlimited Cupra. So good scrap here for the final positions here in the tops, inside the top 10.
Yeah, it's Alan Axon in the Cupra he's actually fighting with. He's got the inside line as we go into Surtees. Yeah, I think Axon had the right idea there. Just like, you know what, let that one go. Just try and line yourself up for Clearways and see if you can use some boosts later. The gap between first and second is slowly coming down. Down to now 2.4. I'm wondering if it's Neil just using a little bit of boost and Richardson saving his for the last few laps. But yeah, as I said, O'Leary is now right on the back of Stevens. Those extra 2 laps of boost, he hasn't even used them. So he's going to use them in the last 2 laps, I imagine, and literally make use of it as a push to pass.
Indeed, and while it's only a 1.2 mile circuit, the exit from Graham Hill, the exit from Clearways into Clark Curve, you can definitely set some moves up. Looking all over the back of this BMW here, squirming as it's trying to downshift, turn and accelerate all the way out of Clearways. And O'Leary in, like I say, hot pursuit. He's having a look to the inside, perhaps just make Stevens look and lose attention for a second here. Onto the brakes, down to about 90 miles an hour into the right-hander, down the hill. Fantastic undulation at Brands Hatch. And then up the hill into Druids. Hard on the brakes, and it's a late move. Can he complete it? Oh, it's going to be close. Little rub, little push. And they're still side by side and banging doors.
Yeah, and I think what O'Leary's going to do here is place his car, go up and under, and then just use it. Surely at this point, it should just boost out and just kind of check out. But he's always now going to try and take the inside now into Surtees. This is going to be contact, surely. They'll get contact there, and now he's going to get himself a nice little line. If I was him, it was going to be boost it out and then just run around, because the difference in speed between using boost and not using it is insane. So I think he's not going to use it. He's literally going to save it for those last 2 laps.
Interesting strategy choice. Opening the corner up wide there, perhaps try and get the run. Didn't quite happen this time round. Stevens going defensive into Paddock Hill Bend, and O'Leary running off into the gravel. That will not help his chances up into Druids on this time around. And let's just keep an eye, Salberg, Herlock, not that far behind. So if these two get into a real scrap, they might have even more to bargain for. But I think Butcher will be just keeping an eye on this in his rearview mirror and being quite content and just focusing eyes forward to bring home this 3rd place.
Yeah, the gap between 1st and 2nd, as Jordan Neal's kind of, been eating away at it. It's still only 1.9 though, so, and both using boost. I think they've got boost. Richardson hasn't got boost for the last lap. Neal will. So O'Leary is using that boost now, and surely it's just going to be, whoa, let's not knock him off that hard. It's going to be fly through, get the outside line, but he's going to have boost on this lap as well. So surely dive underneath. No,
Can
definitely defending.
Oh, he's trying to get up the inside there, going up and under, and didn't quite make it work this time around. Some definite touring car action that we love to see here. Fair but rough and tumble as they go down into Graham Hill Bend here for the final time. As we should actually focus on Richardson, Jordan Richardson. He's had a quiet race, but he's had a dominant race. He kept his nose clean at the start and has well and truly led us all the way, lights to flag. Neal has kept him honest all the way, but Richardson here wins race 1. As we now, this is going to be a run to the flag drag race. I think O'Leary's got this by a car length.
Yeah, he just, like I said, just aimed it nicely at the end there, just sorted himself out, lined himself up, and just used that boost just to power through as we see other drivers come through the finish line. So who's going to get that last points paying position? It looks like it should be from the back of the grid with his 15th place grid drop. Jordan Osborne is going to finish in 15th and get that 1 point.
Not too bad. Again, if you'd offered that at the start of the evening, would you have accepted that, taken that? Yeah, maybe. Every point matters. So drivers just continuing to round out here. I think we've got Carter, who was our last finisher in the first race tonight. And there we go. Brands Hatch Indy. It's a roller coaster, and boy, has the time just flown by.
Yeah, interesting there. A few drivers, I don't know if you noticed, that they didn't even use all their boosts. So Osborne there only used it for 9 laps out of 12. And I think Herlock missed a lap. The next lap of boost he decided or accidentally forgot not to use. And that's the thing about Brands Hatch Indy. It's so fast paced. You just forget.
Absolutely. Well, let's run through our finishing order for the first race this evening. Jordan Richardson winning in dominating fashion from Louis Neal, and Chris Butcher rounding out that podium. Thomas O'Leary will be happy with that in his championship challenge, finishing 4th ahead of Tom Stevens, with Emil Salberg, Dan Herlock and Cedar Wire rounding out that top 8. Last but not least, rounding out our top 10, we have Mitch Marie for Calamity and Alan Axon for Unlimited Motorsport Esports.
In 11th place there, Scott Mitchell-Marm, Callum Cripps in 12th, Ben Willis and Cameron Brewster, both for Drake Racing, getting a few points there, and Jordan Osborne rounding out our points-paying positions in 15th. Archie Jardine in 16th, Dan Kell and Jack London following each other again, Calamity Motorsport in 17th, 18th. Matt Richards wasn't able to make any progress, sadly. He must have missed something happen there in 19th. Alan Smith in 20th. And then rounding out those final few positions, as we saw, Aidan Carter, he did return to the race after taking that heavy hit. He also got fastest lap in that race in 21st. And then, our 3 DNFs, Callum Wilson, Tom Hackett and Martha Allington.
So a fast and furious start to the evening, and a few interesting storylines. We obviously had an incredibly close first round a few weeks back at Donington Park. Interesting to see some being able to capitalise and continue on their momentum, but huge surprise. Series and league stalwart Matt Richards not having the best first race there.
Yeah, I know that due to real life commitments, I know that the Drake team have been in various countries actually over the last few weeks. So I think not being able to get many laps on the board practice wise, and just kind of taking this evening as a let's go race and see how far we get. Obviously, Brett and Cam managing to make positions, and Richards unable to. This second race now, but O'Leary's going to gone from having 5 laps of boost to a whole 8. And he'll be able to start deploying a whole 5 kilometers an hour sooner, 130 kilometers an hour. So it's also going to be a front wheel on pole with Louis Neal and that BMW in second, and then second row also being front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive. So maybe that will stop any silly shenanigans happening in race 2. Famous last words of the commentator there.
I was going to say, if that's a curse, I'm not sure what is. But again, one of the interesting things with Brands Hatch Indy and Brands Hatch GP, of course, using the same grid start, is there is a little dip. And those front-wheel drive cars, they do tend to, obviously, as they start to pull away, spin up those front wheels, slide a little bit down into that dip. And it can cause a little bit of an opportunity to just open up the road and perhaps make a move that wouldn't have happened on let's say, a flat grid. But we'll have to see how our drivers deal with that as they grid up. And start, obviously, the next race. I think also have to say, a real shame, obviously, to have the start impact and collision we did, but that will have shaken things up a bit, and we'll have some fast drivers looking to recover and make the most from this evening. As you know, Phil, you have a bad first race, that can really put you on the back foot for the rest of the evening.
It can ruin your evening. There's nothing worse than, I was never the fastest driver, but, I could qualify in the top 15, but your problem is you'll then be right in that middle. And, you miss a car that's had an accident coming back at you, you make one little mistake, you suddenly go 3 wide into a corner, you take that spin and end up at the back of race 1, and it demoralizes your entire evening, starting from race 2, kind of knowing that if you get lucky, and you have to be very lucky, you may get into top 12 and hope for that reverse pole from 7th to 12th, but very rarely would that happen for me. You kind of hope that you'd start in that mid-pack, try and get into 10th for race 2, and then race 2, just try and again hold that position, try and get a couple and give yourself the best shot in race 3. And if you time it with your soft tyre selection as well, obviously Jordan Richardson there used his softs in race 1, so we'll be starting in race 2 with the medium tyres and then also much less boost to use.
Indeed, and let's talk about those tyre selections. We've got a bit of an interesting spread from our drivers this evening. Just 3 of our field using the soft tyre in the first race. We've got 7 in the next race, and then a whole 14 in the third race. So I think keep an eye out for some fireworks in that last race. But yes, the softer tyre, in theory, a bit quicker, but will wear a bit faster. And I do wonder, actually, towards the end of that first race, was that gap between first and second a tyre wear factor there? Perhaps those front tyres just going away from that Civic as the last few laps started to come in, and that BMW, of course, rear-wheel drive as well, taking care of those all 4 tyres a bit better.
I think you're right there, but I think he made such good progress, make hay while the sun shines, that in that first kind of half of the race, made that nice. I think it got to like 4 or 5 second gap, then managed it for a few laps, and then knowing that, those last 4 or 5 laps on those soft tyres are going to hurt you a little bit, but did really well. Like I said, just kept going, held it nicely, and got the win. So that's let's see if they can do it again, like I said, with the medium tyres and less boost. I want to see what O'Leary can do now from 4th place with more boost.
and can deploy even sooner as well, such as the dynamic nature of obviously the boost system and the interesting kind of little balance of performance, if you will, that it provides across the season.
Worth pointing out in soft tyres, so O'Leary is actually in that 4th, so soft tyres, more boost, less deployment time, and also on soft tyres in 4th place, also using them is Axon, Brewster and Willis from 13th and 14th, Hackett, who sadly we started near the back of the field. Louis Neal from 2nd will also be on soft tyres, and then Jordan Osborne, who finished 15th. So, keep an eye on Louis Neal and O'Leary, because I think that's going to be a spicy one with those 2 fighting out the softs. As the race director is pointing out, now the boost is now based on the race 1 result and not championship standings.
So just as drivers are kind of dusting themselves off, sorting themselves out, ready for the second race, just want to say hello to Frederick in the YouTube chat. Good to have you with us. Hope you're enjoying the action so far. If you're interested in finding out more about the league, search for Virtual Motorsport Online. We have a Discord, and love to see you join us for some VMO action and perhaps some of the other series that we run here as well. So we've had a frantic first race, Phil. What's your predictions for the second?
Fireworks between. I just can't see how it won't be fireworks between those 2 BMWs going into turn 1, one behind the other. It's going to be very key getting that initial pull away, because we saw that, I can't remember who it was that started on pole, but they had the initial getaway, and then it was like they skipped a gear and pulled Tom Stevens there in first, kind of pulled away pretty well, and looked like he had a good first phase. Then second phase kind of nearly went backwards, didn't he? And then it was like he pulled into 3rd gear. I'd love to know what happened at the start, but we'll have to find that one out later.
You're right, almost like you bogged down a bit, just lost the torque, and yeah, just a little bit caught out there. But there we go. Again, with 25 cars in close proximity, particularly on a track like Brands Indy, yeah, unfortunately you don't get much chance to make up for a slight mishap on the start there. And well, you might be able to see on the background here, yeah, in the past there was even 4 wide grids here. So
That Jennifer Juniors I remember watching back in the day.
Yeah. Oh,
the
boy.
staggered 2x2s, and yeah, that was just chaos. Bless them.
Absolutely.
I also have to point out that this is one of the few circuits in the virtual world you can already race in reverse. As many people know, if you were on our stream for round 1, I'm an advocate for trying circuits in reverse, and Brands Hatch is one in Grid 2 back in 2013. That makes me feel old. You could actually race the Indy circuit in reverse, so run down towards the ever steepening tightening Clark curve into Clearways McLaren, a little flick right on Surtees on the Cooper Straight, then it was a 90-degree right up in Graham Hill Bend up to Druids, and then it was just Hail Mary at Hellwoods Hill and Paddock Hill Bend, kind of chuck it in, hope the car sticks, and then a long run back to Clark Curve again. I think you've raced it as well. I know our cameraman has raced it before. I think you, Chuggy, have also probably done a few laps on it.
Oh, a long time ago, as you say, and now I do feel old. But this is going to be a theme, isn't it? Every round, where could you drive this in reverse?
Yeah, I'm definitely. That's my research now, is finding out what games you can race or can you race various circuits in reverse. Obviously, the recent F1 game has got Silverstone in reverse, and then Knockhill is actually, you can race Knockhill in reverse officially. It's licensed to go the other way. I've done that in iRacing, but I'm going to have to do some research on the other ones, or find some mod makers, and then get these videos edited. That's what we should do. We should do these little videos, but have the cars going the other way round and see if it tricks people.
Oh dear. Let's say anything to keep the commentators busy and away from the actual competition, eh?
Exactly. As the timer ticks down to 0 seconds in the warm-up session, we should be happy to hear. We should be moving to the race very shortly. Just another bit of information. Nathan Croak, sadly, has had a power cut this evening. I don't know where they're based. Hello, Nathan. Sorry to hear that. They've had power cut. Internet's being a bit dodgy, so they've decided to stand down for the rest of the evening. So we are down to 24 cars for race 2.
So that's a huge pity. Again, the mechanical failures are always a bit different in the virtual world, but sorry to hear that, Nathan. And hopefully we will see you next round at Thruxton.
Have you had one before? Have you had a power cut or wheel failure or throttle failure?
I've had wheel failures. Funnily enough, doing a 24 hours of Le Mans on iRacing many years ago, I would hit a curb and it would move my brake balance back. And I always remember at about, I think 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, chap who was with me, just keeping me with me as a kind of a pit wall engineer. Is there a reason you've got the brake balance back 20 clicks? No, it's working for me. So yeah, thankfully nothing which has taken me out of a race, certainly not a power cut, but yeah, always unfortunate when you've obviously put the practice and the time in and something like this obviously takes you out of contention. Yeah,
I've had the internet go out before race at a previous league, about 20 minutes before or during qualifying. As speaking of, we've got a formation lap going on here.
Lovely stuff as our drivers pull away from the starting grid, try and build a little bit of temperature in those tyres and those brakes. We'll very quickly try and run through as many of the drivers as we can on the starting grid. So obviously winning last race round, we have Jordan Richardson for Vapor Shield Racing, seeing if he can make it 2 from 2. He'll be pursued low by Louis Neal in his BMW, starting in second place. Butcher in the Ford Focus will be following him on the second row, with Thomas O'Leary in fourth place. We'll then have Tom Stevens, Dan Hurlock and Cedar Wire in positions 5, 6 and 7 respectively, with Mitch Marie, Alan Axon and Scott Mitchell-Marm rounding out the top 10.
Okay, in 11th place we've got Callum Cripps for Brabham Motorsport, Ben Willis in 12th, with his teammate Cameron Brewster in 13th, Jordan Osborne then 14th, with Archie Dardine in 15th. Dan Kell and Jack London, the Calamity Motorsports, in 16th and 17th, will be looking to move into the points this race. Matt Richards in 18th for Drake Racing, Alan Smith 19th, Aidan Carter 20th. I mean, that would be one to watch, seeing if they can do a recovery race from there, along with Callum Wilson, also a fast driver, in 21st. Tom Hackett in 22nd, and Martha Allington is back. Hopefully, force feedback all working in 23rd. So we have lost another driver. Sadly, we lost Emil Selberg.
That's a pity. But I think everyone else we do have gridded, just waiting for the lights. Here we go. Race 5, and we are off. A little bit of a slide down into the start, and we've got some rubbing and racing down into the first corner as they go 2 by 2 down into Paddock Hill Bend for the very first time. Looks like we've made it to the first corner this time, but looks like we've got lots of argy-bargy as we run up towards Druids.
Yeah, it looks like we're all still pointing in the right direction as they kind of go about 2 wide through Druids down into Graham Hill Bend. Jordan Richardson again, just trying to make that cap up already. He's only done a few corners, mate. A lot of argy-bargy at the back there as somebody flying off. They're going to keep it just about going the right direction there, Herlock. It's not quite the track again. Oh, another BMW. That's going to be close. That's going to tap. No, they're just about all holding it together.
So, definitely a little bit of leaning onto one another there between Herlock and one of the Brabham Civics, and they're all thankfully still pointing in the right direction as they complete their first lap of 24. Fast and furious action down into the first corner, all sorts out of shape over that curb. Just unsettling car. We've got 3 wide here down into Druids as Herlock sweeps around the outside of one. Oh, and my goodness, that was a Ford Focus on 2 wheels in the background there.
I don't know how they held that. We actually had 3 people spin out at the last corner. The 2 calamities, London, and I think it was Dan Kell, and then it was Jordan Osborne. That's why they're at the back of the grid at the moment. But these guys are pointing the right way, and yeah, that curve is really dangerous through kind of McLaren into Surtees McLaren. And if you put yourself slightly on the grass, you'll then be braking onto it for clearways. And yeah, a couple of cars got unlucky there with a little bit of contact, just sending them the wrong way.
As Richardson sets the fastest lap, Callum Cripps takes that away as he completes his 3rd lap. O'Leary making his way forward. He's up to 4th there, or remains in 4th there, having been challenged a little bit there, I believe, by Stevens. So a little bit of a queue forming here behind Butcher, who's made 1 place from this start, having passed Neil in the early going. Interesting to see that Richardson, again, as you say, Phil, absolutely running away with it.
He is indeed. As we look here, a replay of Scott Mitchell-Mum, and is that it's one of the calamities? Way that was that was a good balancing act onto Mitch Marie. Scott will be very happy that Mitch was there to kind of set him back the right way and send him back in the right direction.
Absolutely. It's interesting to see a little grip roll like that, but there you go. That's how hard and how much grip these cars are generating as they go through Druids. 4 laps in the book. O'Leary now starting to get into his rhythm, setting the fastest lap of the race, having used 1 lap of boost, and he is right up the behind now Chris Butcher. Yeah, this is a replay of Jordan Osborne. So you'll look ahead. You've also got the 2 calamities just ahead of him. I think it was Brewster into one of them that gets tapped around one. Yeah, and then just ahead is actually the 2 calamities. It also parks there on the grass. You can't park there, mate. Luckily for Jordan and one of those calamities, he managed to get back onto the race quite quickly. But yeah, London there right at the back. Almost looked like he had a little moment there just on his own, just as the weight transferred, going across those curbs. Unlucky, but he continues in the race. So still plenty of time to make some places up. We've got a little queue here. I'm going to say at least the first 10 cars. Not quite nose to tail, but certainly within close proximity. Here we go. O'Leary, he's pressuring Richardson around the outside of Druids. Richardson so far had everything his own way, but O'Leary still side by side, still there on the brakes down into Graham Hill Bend. Looks like he's going to complete the move. He takes the lead. Yeah, 4th to 1st. We missed him going up to 2nd there, but then those soft tyres and also using that those extra laps of the boost has been very useful here as we get a replay from Jack London's view of what happened here. So you got Brewster ahead. I think that's Dan Kell just ahead of us. So there's a little bit of that Brewster looking. Oh, yeah, Brewster. That's not Brewster's fault, I don't think. He kind of it all just kind of checkered up, and it was kind of he was trying to get out of the way of one and got into that, and then sadly kind of tag teamed the calamities into each other. So yeah, just the lap 1 unlucky there, I think, but we'll let the stewards decide that one. I'm watching Mitch Marie and who's that in 8th place with them? Cedo Wire in 9th, sorry. Also having a very close fight behind this battle. They are the top 7 are starting just to break away, and then you've got Cedo in 8th. There's also his own little train going on as well. So we've got 2 trains at the moment. Choo-choo as we go around Brands Hatch. or the board. But yes, I think just down on the brakes through Surtees McLaren, it's tricky for the drivers. And boy, oh boy, having watched some of the onboards of practice, some real hustling to get these cars round. We've got Butcher now being challenged. I believe that is by Stevens, and looks like Stevens has held on to that one, going across the start-finish line. As we've got Herlock, I think, just rally crossing a little bit behind. So definitely looks like Butcher is having a bit of a harder time here in the second race to maintain his position.
Yeah, he's obviously flashing his lights there across the start-finish line, so he wasn't happy with something there that Stevens did, and was just letting him know. But yeah, they're all sticking together. It's worth noting that O'Leary has pulled a 2.5-second gap on this train, as this the second train is coming into the Clearway station. As no movement so far, so you've got Ben and Cam 10th and 11th there for Drake. I'm sure they'll be talking to each other, working out who's got the best opportunity of when to use their boost and how their tyres are looking. And even Richards there for them as well is in 13th place, so the three of them are running close to each other. It'd be good to get them 10, 11, 12, and they've got a good chance of getting a reverse pole later, but I'm sure they want to go further than 10th, definitely.
Of course, and yes, we've got our reverse grid race to round out the evening. Anyone in the top 12, I think to 6th place, isn't it, will have a chance of starting the race on pole position. So everyone, of course, will want to make more progress to just guarantee themselves a good starting position in the third race. We've now got O'Leary and Cripps in first and second, both on that soft tyre. I think it's going to be interesting to see how both of those two maintain their pace and the gap to everyone else. They've definitely checked out from Richardson, who well and truly is being kept in close company. Here we go. Thank you very much, cameraman extraordinaire. As Louis Neal is looking up the inside down into Paddock Hill Bend. Will he complete that one over the curb? We've got some room being left. Lovely stuff. And look at this. Here comes the other Brabham Foresti car. Richardson, I think, being a little bit tag teamed.
Yeah, that's good. That was good work there. They kind of opened the door for one, and the second one went, well, if you're offering, I'll go for it as well. So that's both of them made the opposition. And yeah, unlucky for Richardson there. He's kind of slowly going backwards from that pole position. It's hard when you've got so little boost, and then you've got those medium tyres. I know, Neil's got the softs. Oh, blimey, that's a bit of a get going there from one Honda to another.
Yes. Yes, would you mind just going a bit more quickly for me, please, Mr. Willis? Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's using his boost now.
Yes, yeah, of course. Let me just drive away from you. Thank you so much. Willis holding on to 8th place there, crossing the line to complete lap 10 from the Brabham Honda Civic there. And oh my goodness me! Reverse entry
amazing.
Ford Focus.
Yeah, Ben's made a couple of places up there. As there's a bit of a nudge there from one to another. Has pushed him wide, and the other Calamity looks like they'll get a piece of that pie. There's some being offered, and yeah, that's going to get a bit ugly, I think, in a minute if we're not careful. I'm watching Neil and Stevens in third and fourth. They're just quite happily tracking their own race in third and fourth, and they are slowly pulling away from Richardson in fifth. But these guys are going hammer and tongs by the looks of it.
Absolutely fighting for the top 10 positions there. Focusing now on Stevens and Neil. Looks like we've got a little bit of a teammate formation flying, not fighting each other too much, just focusing on their respective races. Good stuff. We return to this scrap now. Got Brewster hassling the back of the Brabham Civic there. He's got up the inside. Lovely stuff. Can he complete the move on the brakes into Druids? And it looks like the answer to that is yes.
Yeah, and then it's Richard's teammate is kind of in a Honda's following each other here, but yeah, poor old Cedo is now in a Drake sandwich, but technically it's a Cedo sandwich, I suppose, because he's the filling. But that's a conversation for another time. As just seeing what usage. So Cedo's not used any boost, whereas the two Drakes have used 3 and 4 laps respectively. So yeah, that could get interesting, a bit more tactical near the end of the race. Just stick with them, as there was a yellow in sector 3, but it looks like everyone is back on, so no harm, no foul.
Again, blink and you miss it. We're halfway through, and I think that's a great point to make, Phil, on the boost usage. 12 laps available, and Cedo there has a full half race distance still to use. So he may have gone temporarily backwards, but let's see if he can now make his way forwards as others start to run out of boost. A little bit of door banging and rubbing between the Calamity and the Drake there into Graham Hill Bend. But looks like Richards. And
no! That's going to be an interesting one for later. That's well, Richards up to 10th place in an unorthodox fashion as Mitch Faree starts to recover. I wouldn't be surprised if that car has damage, considering the speed at which it went into the barrier.
Calamity for the calamity, if you will.
Yes, that was a bit unlucky there. I'll see a replay of that soon, as we're seeing Butcher in 6th place, the next person to try and lock in on Richardson there. 3/10 gap. I think the top 5 are starting to spread out. The gap's all, well, I mean, O'Leary's 5.8 seconds ahead of Cripps, so he's definitely checked out, but the rest of them are all a second apart. And then this is the first battle already at the top end of the field. There's nothing going on at the moment, but again, looking at the boost, Butcher's got 7 laps to use, Richardson's only got 5, Herlock's got 11. So Herlock needs to start using that boost now and try and get somewhere as we look at a replay from Cedo's view as to what happened here.
So side by side, a little bit of rubbing, but nothing too harmful there. All over the curbs and then some, little bit of a touch on the exit. And is this going to be 2 cars into one? Yeah, not ideal. Not ideal. I think we're definitely one for the stewards from that.
Yeah, I think I called it wrong as well. I think that was actually, so I may have got that wrong. But yeah, I think when you come on back onto the circuit there, it was Matt Richards, thank you. You come on the circuit and you get a little bit of wheel spin, can kind of shove you. I remember at this actual track, at that actual corner, I had a rear-wheel drive in front of me and I was trying to overtake them, and they did exactly the same thing. They went a little bit wide, came back on, went a little bit squirrely across the front of me, and it hit me so hard it put basically into those Studio 397 advertising hoardings, and they were fine. That's a bit of a, oh no, they're going to hold it onto the grass. That's a load of positions there that I think that's Brewster losing a load, sadly. Oh no, Matt Richards again. He's in the battles.
He is in the battles, most certainly, this evening. Yes, robust is perhaps one word for it. But now let's focus on Butcher. He's being pursued by Herlock and Richardson, holding on strong to that 5th place. Interesting to see that, again, that boost factor. You look at the folks starting at the front of the field in this one, less boost, and they've lost places as the race has gone on. So that boost factor definitely coming into play here. But having said that, still a top 5, still a good result there for Richardson, and driving an excellent race so far.
He is, but I hate to be that guy, but I'll be surprised if Herlock doesn't get both these guys here during this race. He's got all the boost to use. He's going to use a load of it now, and it's just going to fly by Butcher and move up to 6th.
Did you write the script, sir? How did you know?
I noticed that, yeah, so Butcher's got 7 laps to use, and Herlock's still got 10. So in fact, he can't even use all of it, but he can use now every lap, and I can see him getting 5th here. Few more seconds to get up to 4th. There's a 4-second gap here between 5th and 4th, but you never know. Wouldn't put it past him.
Indeed. And again, just I've never seen so many cars almost borderline reverse entry into Paddock Hill Bend, but there you go. That's the technique and the finesse that these drivers have got. Incredibly close racing, carrying as much speed as they physically can in these front-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive touring cars. You'll love to see it. But this fight is about to be joined, I believe that's by Willis, who's having a fantastic race on the soft tyre and the drag. So this little fight for 5th is about to become a 4-way duel. But there you go, Herlock into 5th, just as you predicted, Phil. What's the lottery numbers next week?
I've already got my ticket. So yeah, I mean, again, Willis, another one there. It's got loads of boosts to use versus compared to Butcher and Richardson. I do fear that we're going a little bit backwards. It'd be a question of how far, as not going backwards, going forwards here. Tom Stevens and Cripps using that boost now to pull away from Stevens. But, you know, again, we're back to the soft tyres, 17 laps. They may just start showing their age a little bit. And that rear-wheel drive BMW on its medium tyres has the same amount of boost, 6 more laps compared. So this one's going to run to the end of the race, I am sure.
I think you're right, and it'll be interesting, again, as you mentioned, that difference in drivetrain. Front wheels, of course, doing all of the work in that Honda Civic. BMW splitting the work between the front and rear axle, and there goes Willis up to 7th. Lovely stuff, just passing Butcher like he wasn't even there.
Yeah, that's the advantage when you've got all that boost to use and you can make use of it on that long run. What have you seen?
So unfortunately, it looks like a few cars going on an interesting path through Paddock Hill Bend there in the background. We might be able to rewind and catch a bit of that, but that certainly is not the orthodox route through that corner.
I missed that. I was focusing so much on Willis and trying to see how much boost they got. I missed it in the background there. Richards is making his return up to 12th at the moment. He's got a bit of a gap now, 2 or 3 seconds to 11th, and he'll be now trying to get as high as he can to maximise his chances of a reverse grid pole. Ben Willis here is at a risk of actually not being able to get reverse pole because he's just making positions up in this race instead.
He's absolutely flying. He's absolutely taking them like candy from a baby at the moment. So working well there for the drag driver, up into 6th place.
Just seeing a video the replay of Smith and someone else. What was that?
Oh!
Cedo going. Does that Cooper hold on? We'll never know. Oh no, he did. Okay, good. So, that's explaining why they've all spread out a little bit here. As Richards, is now Willis up to 6th and will be hunting down 5th. The gap is of just. Thank you for scoring the game at that point. Just under 2 seconds.
So just a little bit perhaps on sight on the braking there, but thankfully the Unlimited Cooper are able to continue. Here we've got Stevens. He's been able to get by Cripps, so the valiant effort there by Callum Cripps to keep his Brabham Honda Civic with the soft tyres ahead of Stevens has come short there, but still in 3rd place with just 4 laps to go. We've got Wyatt now pursuing Brewster, so Brewster also making his way forward for Drake, so good run for the Drake cars here. As you say, Phil, if they're just doing it for a bit of fun, it's seemingly working.
Yeah, and also means those soft tyres, it's an interesting balance. I imagine what's happened is that the soft tyres are starting to go, but they've saved themselves the boost to kind of counteract it effectively. And yeah, I'm sure Willis is going to be straight on the old straight on the fast on the straights. It'll be whether he can hold it through those corners. He's 2.5 seconds to 5th. Not sure he's going to be able to do that to get to Herlock, but never say never. And Brewster is catching up Jordan Richardson and Butcher as they fight each other. Although Brewster's also in a fight himself with Cedo, who's not giving up that one, has he?
Oh, door to door, just swapping a bit of paint. Oh, I like yours. Oh, I like yours too. But they are still pointing the right direction as they go into Druids here on lap 21 and 24. Looks like Cedo holding on to that one for now. Brewster's going to have to find another way around that Brabham Civic.
Yeah, I mean he'll holding on to 10th at the moment. It's not a bad little spot to be. Obviously his teammate has rushed up the road. I'll be surprised if they can get 5th now with 3 laps to go. What's Mr. Richards up to? He's currently down in 13th and a bit of a gap to 12th, but he's also got Dan Kell in the Calamity right behind him, so that one is still on as well, I imagine, as they've both got the same amount of boost left to the end of the race.
Again, 2 great competitors that we've had at VMO for some time. Great to see them scrapping. Interesting to see them scrapping in the lower echelons of the points, but they're still having good fun and got to provide us some value. Richards, I think they're running a little bit wide, and Kell takes full advantage.
Yep, you can't blame him that one. Richards nudge there just to kind of get him to move on. What's happening near at the front? Anything exciting? Yeah, the gaps are kind of all spread out a little bit. The main one is still... Richardson is now falling back into the grass of Cedo and Brewster. So is he going to be able to hold on to that 8th place? We shall see. He's got the full 3 laps, or 2 laps to go. So I think he's only got 5 laps of boost, and he's only going to be able to use 4 laps of it. So he's missed a bit of a trick there, if I've calculated that right. But like I said, it's so ferocious, this circuit, just constant. You kind of forget that you've got the boost.
You do indeed, but he's making the most of what he's got, and just a few laps to go and continue to defend, as you say. O'Leary continues to lead and is absolutely checked out from the rest of the field, but Richardson still has a little bit of work to do here as he's being chased down for 8th place. Well and truly in the frame, though, for that reverse grid for the 3rd race.
Yeah, it's not a bad place. Not a bad place to be. Just seeing who else is kind of as we go on to this final lap. O'Leary, penultimate lap of the race. I might have just put in the fastest lap on my soft tyres. I mean, that's just silly. He has well and truly checked out.
Pretty much a masterful performance from himself as he goes through Graham Hill Bend, just focusing back on this little scrap here for 8th place. He's got Wire and Brewster keeping a very close eye on the back of that Vapor Shield Honda Civic Type R, and a little bit of a nudge there into the Druids braking zone from the Brabham car. He defends wholeheartedly, but Thomas O'Leary, hats off, dominant. The only word for that one. Thomas O'Leary wins race 2 of this evening.
Oh, there's been a big crash in 10th place. Cedo and Jordan Richardson. Oh, that's not the way we wanted it to end. Sorry to cut over there, but what happened there? It looks like they were just going into Graham Hill. They've gone... So I think what's happened is Cedo's gone one side, Cameron Brewster's looked gone the other, and Jordan Richardson there was a little bit unlucky. And spin me like a record, baby. He went absolutely flying. That's a shame. Drops him all the way out the points now.
So that's a pity. We might be able to get a replay of that one, we'll see, but sounds like a little bit of an awkward one there. So Richardson coming home, I think there. I think we just caught the end of it there, so that's a bit of a pity.
Sure. A few technical issues. I'm sure we'll sort that one out shortly to see. But yeah, great. I mean, what a run from Willis there. Just kept going. Those softs on his car didn't give up, did they? Here we go. Here's a look at it.
Right, so let's see what we can see here on board with Hackett. As you can say, one car on the right, and oh no, I think drifting into one another there, and is an unfortunate way to finish your race so close to the very end there.
Yeah, really unlucky and unfortunate. I'm sure the stewards may have to have a look at that one if it's reported. But if you see, the problem is it's where you last look. I've done that before. You see a car going to your left, and you think, oh, I need to give them a bit of gap, and you just glance ever so slightly to the right, not realizing that no, there's a car there as well. And it was the lightest of touches, but it just sent them both on an adventure that sadly they're both going to regret.
Indeed, and again, these cars being as on edge as they are, even in a straight line, sometimes you just touch them in the wrong way, and yep, they will go off on a little adventure of their own. But as you say, we'll have to see what happens in the stewards' room for that one. But let's run through the final finishing order here for race 2 this evening. Thomas O'Leary in dominant fashion wins round 5 with Tom Stevens in second and Callum Cripps rounding out the podium. Louis Neal, a good evening being put together by himself in 4th, with Dan Hurlock rounding out the top 5. Ben Willis, excellent race for him in 6th place, with Chris Butcher in 7th. Cameron Brewster, again, Drake, doing a good job there in the second race in 8th, with Tom Hackett and Alan Axon rounding out the top 10.
I'll go for 11th place then. It's Jordan Osborne getting a few points there for Unlimited Motorsport Esports. Dan Kell in 12th for Calamity. Aidan Carter, good recovery race there into 13th. Matt Richards in 14th. Martha Allington as well, having lost force feedback. She's managed to go up 15th and get a point in race 2. Scott Mitchell-Marm in 16th. Archie Jardine 17th. Jordan Richardson, unlucky there at the end, from poles 18th. Jack London in 19th. And Callum Wilson for Brabham Motorsport in 20th. And the final few cars, Mitchery in 21st. Alan Smith in 22nd. And Cedo sadly DNF'd out of that, so rather than finishing 19th and starting a little bit further up the grid for race 3, we'll start at the back.
So yeah, we just as we were running through our finishing order there, we have had our reverse grid draw, and it is lucky number 11. So I believe that was Jordan Osborne in the Unlimited Cupra will find himself in pole position for our third and final race, and it's also almost maximum chaos. And as far as we could have had 12 cars reversed, well, we had 11 of them. So we're going to have some quick cars having to make some places up with limited boost. Just what we like for the third race, a little bit of chaos.
It is, and Jordan Osborne has had a 15-place grid job, started at the back, got involved in the race 1 shenanigans, has then finished race 2 in 11th, and is now starting race 3 from pole. Like, what a crazy... what I was just saying there about him being near the back after race 1 being demoralising. Guy finishes 11th, and is now going to start race 3 on pole.
It is the joy, shall I call it that, the crazy unknown factor that this format of touring car racing brings. So never give up, and you never know where you might find yourself in the end or at the end of the evening. So yes, it's been a bit of a topsy-turvy night. We don't like to see the big contacts and the big collisions, but sometimes, I mean, Brands Hatch, it is a short circuit. It is pretty narrow in spots. It's a shame we've had as much contact as we have. Hopefully we can have a good third and final race to round out the evening. We've seen some good racing respect out there as well. But yes, third race always does add that little bit of extra something to the mix, doesn't it?
It does, and I'm just seeing what this means for the championship standings. It means this is a brilliant... If getting 4th and 1st wasn't good enough for O'Leary, his nearest rival, only a point away, was Matt Richards, who sadly is not having the best of evenings. Dan Hurlock is getting a few points in top 10s, and then you look back at Dan Kell, Scott Mitchell-Marm, they're kind of getting the odd points, but O'Leary's going to be running away after evening 2. Obviously, we've still got one more race to go, so it could all change. And likewise for Louis, only got 1 point from Donington, DNF'd in race 3, and the fact he's got a 2nd and 4th is will chuck him up the leaderboard. So yeah, it's going to really flip over this championship table, but we've still got one race to go, and I'm sure it's going to change again.
And I think you're right there, Phil, because Well, the tyre selection is going to come into its own, I think. We've now got 14 drivers on the option soft tyre. So that's that massive advantage that we've seen in the first two races for a select few. Well, a lot of people are going to have that advantage. And that dynamic, as Phil was highlighting in the second race, of those tyres just starting to drop off at the end. We'll have to see how many of our drivers have picked up on perhaps saving a bit of boost to mask that and help balance it out as the race goes on. So reverse grid, crazy tyre choices. It's going to be an interesting one.
And it also means O'Leary goes back to his race 1 of only having 5 laps of boost, and will be starting down 11th. Which race 1 he started with 5 laps of boost. He started, I think it was 17th, and finished 4th. So if he can do that again from 11th, he would quite happily take it, I think, right now. So yeah, I'm going to be definitely focusing on O'Leary to see if he can round out what's been a really good evening for him so far.
Absolutely, and it's very early days. We mentioned the championship, but it is how championships are won. It's that consistency, that best worst result, and you got to say he's definitely putting himself in the frame even at this very early stage. Just keeping that consistency going early on is how you want to carry that on. So I think it's also, we had some great racing from Kings as a team. I just want to call out Drake. I mean, this is a hobby. This is something that we all want to do for a bit of fun and a bit of competition, but great to see them doing well and perhaps just approaching this particular evening as a bit of a fun one. I'm glad to see that they are getting some good results off the back of that too. Good stuff.
Yes, and also it's worth pointing out we've not actually had so O'Leary was our first repeat winner in that race too. He won one race because we had 3 winners at Donington: O'Leary, Richards, and Herlock. We then had Richardson for race 4, and O'Leary becomes our first repeat winner for race 5. Will he be able to do it again in race 6 and 11th, or will Richardson be able to do something?
So we'll have to wait and see. And Brands Hatch being, and particularly the Indy layout being as short as it is, the lap times are always very close. I think, there was obviously a bit of a fracas, a bit of an incident in that first race. I think he's going to find it a bit harder this time around, given that he's now not on the option tyre, whereas most of the others and the rest of the field are. And we've got some quick drivers in that top 11. I mean, if you have, for example, Willis carry on his momentum, admittedly not on the option tyre for this one, who knows what might happen. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be one to watch is the short way of phrasing it. It's going to be quite something. So yes, we'll just wait for our drivers to kind of get themselves ready for what is going to be a third and frantic race. Chaos, I think, is the operative word. So yes, it's going to be, Brands Hatch, it always delivers. It's going to be what will it deliver in the third race? We're going to find out.
Yeah, we've been a bit, the weather we've had in the UK this week. So the track, it's been 21, 22 degrees in the server, track temperature about 34 degrees. We've been very lucky we didn't race the last few evenings because, daytime temperatures at Brands Hatch have been in the 30s. And then also there was a risk of, I think it rained actually in Brands Hatch this morning. So for those that don't know, that we run this league, we use daytime temperatures. I think the temperature's taken for like noon or 1 o'clock, and that temperature is applied to the server. But we then use real-world weather. So at the moment, it is currently dry at Brands Hatch. So no rain by the looks of it tonight, but a British summertime. I'm sure one of these races is going to be affected by it this season.
So blizzards, I'm sure, will be before
Why
we know.
Not? Throw it in.
So just another element to the recipe, shall we? Just to kind of liven it up. But that wet weather racing, again, that's a skill in itself. Different skill set, having to use slightly different lines, perhaps set the car up differently as well to manage it. You never do quite know what's ahead of you. So I certainly recall when I was obviously competing in this, having that wet setup, having that dry setup ready, and just hoping that if it does rain, that the wet setup is good enough and will keep you on the straight and narrow.
Two of my favourite memories involve that inclement weather. I think it was Moscow International Ring, very random circuit. Did some old touring car racing, and that first lap it started to rain, and I ummed and erred. And yes, shout out to Mr. Lewis Redshaw. I still remember, I think I was like 17th, and Lewis was 16th. Do I pit for wets? Do I stay out? Do I pit for wets? And Lewis spun right in front of me, 1 corner from the pit entry. I managed to avoid him and decided I was going to go into the pits. And I think I finished 5th in the end because I managed to put the wets on at the right time. I remember a friend of mine, yeah, I come out, I'm starting to do laps, and he says, "Oh, I don't know whether I should pit for wets or not." And he went, "Phil's got the fastest lap. I'm pitting for wets," and that was it. Yeah, it's right call, right time, and you can go from hero to zero, zero to hero if you're just on that right tyre at the right time. And I got lucky at that one.
So you make your own luck sometimes, and as the wonderful Murray Walker would say, it's all about being on the right tyre at the right time. So no, we hope, we believe, inclement weather to deal with this round, but well, we've got 8 more following this, Thruxton being next in 2 weeks' time. And Thruxton, I mean, again, there's a slightly different challenge, Brands Hatch being short, but with a little bit of undulation and huge momentum. Thruxton, of course, fastest race circuit in the country, a couple of chicanes to break it up, very hard on the tyres. It's a different challenge again, and well, driving Thruxton in the wet is a unique challenge in and of itself, let alone the dry.
Done that one before, yeah. Also, obviously, Thruxton's the only race in this calendar year where they use the hard tyre for all 3 races. They don't have to do a tyre selection, so it balances that out. And hopefully, drivers like using the hard tyres. I know when I raced last season, I really struggled with the soft tyres. I couldn't keep them for 3/4 of a race, let alone a whole race. We talked about all those last 4 or 5 laps, are those softs going to hold? Last 10 laps, I was struggling. Don't need to worry about that at Thruxton. It's you take the hards or you take the wets if it's raining.
Nice and simple. But yes, to that round, 2 weeks' time. And again, we'll have to see what effect the boost has on that circuit, where again, top speed, acceleration, all huge factors to that fantastic circuit. So just waiting for the final few minutes of our warm-up to conclude here for our drivers as we just arrange and sort things out. Do you want to have a stab, Phil, at kind of nominating a driver of the evening? Because I think we've seen some excellent drives from a few folks out there tonight.
I think O'Leary, obviously I know you got a bit lucky there from 17th to 4th in race 1, but like you said, you make your own luck, and then you just ran away in race 2. But then Jordan Richardson ran away in race 1. So it's going to be between Richardson, O'Leary, and Neil at the moment. Neil doing great with 2nd and 4th. They'll be starting this race in I think 10th position, 8th position, in fact. So they'll be a little bit limited on the number of laps for the boost. But we'll see how this race 3 goes, because again, could be hero to zero. There could be a zero to hero coming up.
Indeed, and well, you took my pick. I think Louis Neal should be very, very pleased with the performance so far. Hopefully, they can carry that on in our final race here tonight. So again, if you're interested, you like what you see here at Virtual Motorsport Online, feel free to give us a look on our social media channels, sign up and come along to our Discord, and you'll find a wonderful community of touring cars, rallying, and of course our winter series. So plenty of opportunity to get involved, get racing, and it could be you on this grid this time next year.
Yes, there's rumours of other games we may be looking at in that winter series, but I shall keep that under wraps for now, because we're just getting the cars on the grid as we speak, ready to start that race 3. And so Emil Selberg sadly not returning. I don't know if they've had a power cut, but they're not responding. So I think they've also sadly had a technical issue. So we're down to 23. We're slowly dropping, but luckily this is the final race of the evening as they make their way off the grid for the warm-up lap.
Lovely stuff. So as they are starting to make their way around, let's run through that starting order. So we've got Jordan Osborne on pole position, followed by Alan Axon. Tom Hackett and Cameron Brewster round out row 2, with Chris Butcher and Ben Willis rounding out row 3. Herlock and Neil are 4th row, with Cripps and Stevens rounding out the top 10.
So O'Leary there starting 11th for race 3, as there's nearly a crash at the back of the grid in the formation lap. Dan Kell in 12th. Aidan Carter, the other Richardson co-racing, in 13th. Matt Richardson 14th. He'll be hopefully one to watch. Hopefully he gets a decent final race. Martha Allington in 15th. Scott Mitchell-Marm for Kings Racing in 16th. Archie Jardine in 17th for Jardine Motorsports. Jordan Richardson really unlucky at the end there, starting 18th for this race. Jack London in 19th. Callum Wilson sadly didn't make the progress I was hoping he would make in 20th. Mitch Marie 21st, Alan Smith 22nd, and Cedo, that crash at the end, starting 23rd.
So there's our runners and riders for this, the 3rd and final race. Pretty much an ideal starting situation for Unlimited Motorsport Esports. Teammates locking out that front row. We'll have to wait for everyone to grid up. Can they control and dictate the pace and the story of this race? We're about to find out. Final car takes its position, and we now wait for the lights.
Pointing out there, Butcher's starting 5th is the first one on the soft, so we'll see what progress he can make early on.
Indeed.
Also, lots of front wheels as well. Where's the first? The first rear wheel drive is actually 8th, Louis Neal.
Right, here we go. Lights are on and they are out, and Butcher's had a great start there from, I believe that was 5th place, but the Unlimited cars are leading the way down into turn 1. Butcher already looking to make his and mark authority on 3rd place as we run through Paddock Hill Bend, down into the compression, up Haywalls Hill, down towards Druids. Everyone's through turn 1.
They are indeed as they go through turn 2. That's a very sideways Honda Civic, but looks like it's held together. Another one there, the BMW going a bit sideways, but all good so far. Yeah, I wonder if Osborne and Axon have worked a little deal here. You run on ahead, I'll hold them all back, and there's a massive congregation of cars at the back here. Surely they're 3 wide going into McLaren. I don't think that's going to work. Surely someone's going to be fired off, and it's Martha Allington. Sadly, she is in the barrier. And as they go through Clark Curve, oh no!
That is a 360 pirouette, and somehow he has saved it, and everyone has avoided him. So it's a well done. I think that was to one of the King's focuses. Mitchell Malm, by the sounds of it, well done. Thank you, cameraman extraordinaire, in my ear. But yeah, it's a bit feisty and a bit
up to second though as well. He's already going past Jordan Osborne, so Axon's made a little bit of a run as there's a little bit of push and tug in this race 3, and Jordan's he's gonna cut back underneath. Nice cutback.
I think that was pretty much the textbook cutback. Literally no room between that front and rear bumper there. So Butcher makes his way forward, and Herlock joins him in doing so. So the momentum, unfortunately, lost there for Osborne, has lost him a couple places.
Yeah, and it's two soft tyre drivers making their way forward. So they're both probably working together, get themselves up to speed, get themselves the Axon getting some nice little toe there into turn 1, the fastest lap, but already going to Stevens. But yeah, those soft tyres are just trying to make use of them early on, get themselves up high, and then they'll tactically use their the boost, I imagine, is the plan. And Axon will just be trying to run away. Oh dear, I called O'Leary. Have a good evening, didn't I? Don't reverse onto the circuit just yet. Yeah, that's going to be unlucky to recover from there. I think that may be him. Is he going to return? It looks like he's going to return to circuit. So, yep, good waiting there. Well done. Just a bit unlucky there. We'll have a look at the replay later. As, Butcher all over the back of Axon.
Yes, indeed. Well and truly caught up to the back of that Cupra, already putting the pressure and getting, I think, the nose of that Ford Focus up the inside. And just as he does that, opens the door. Herlock says, thank you very much. I'll have a piece of that. But look at the boost usage from Axon there, pulling back cleanly ahead, crossing the start-finish line for lap 4, defending that place. Again, 12 laps of boost for Axon, 11 for Butcher. Axon using that early on to defend his position.
Yeah, it's what he's got to do, and just hope that then the softs in the, I imagine the tactic here will be basically use it to keep ahead for half the race, and even if you've got no boost left at the end, just hope those soft tyres on Butcher's car go off. But I mean, he finished 3rd in race 1, and it'll just be a case of can they hold on to those soft tyres during the next 20 laps. But as we've already said, they fly through quickly here at Brands Hatch Indy.
They do indeed, and you can see that grip advantage that Butcher has on that softer rubber, catching up significantly under braking. Looks pretty even on the exit out of Clearways and Clark Curve this time around. But yes, an interesting dynamic. Axon on, in theory, perhaps the tyre, which will last a bit longer. Can he hold on and wait for those soft tyres to start to degrade? A little bit of a scrap there. I think Herlock and Osborne, that is, for 4th place as we have a replay.
Yep, so Archie Dardine sadly is the first to retire. Just so on the inside. Oh, that's a bit unlucky. That explains why that was O'Leary going sideways. He was kind of there. We'll have to, so Jardine's obviously retired for something else. I'll have a look back and let you know what happened.
Yes, indeed. Shame, obviously, for the BMW driver to spin around, but again, kudos for not rejoining straight away. And we've got now a move for the lead. Butcher using his boost, drafting and passing around the outside of Axon, dominates and takes the place on the brakes down into turn 1. Replay of Jardine, and I believe this is one of the Brabham Civics. Oh dear, dear, dear! That is not what we want to see. That's is a little bit much.
Yeah, that's a tyre. The tyre goes through Paddock Hill Bend, and nothing else there, sadly. So was that just a case of? I think they were trying to swap over. I'm just doing an onboard myself just to kind of see what happened. If it was a contact with the other car didn't help there. Well, yeah, no, Callum's there, and he's tried, and then then pushed him out big time. Callum's lucky not to get collected by it, but yeah, again, Callum was there, so Gardein just unlucky that didn't realise and paid the price.
Indeed. Again, the stewards, I think, are going to be busy, but here comes Herlock. He's busy passing there, Axon. So those soft tyre runners making the most of their tyre advantage as London sets the fastest lap of the race. A few cars running wide there, wanting to do a little bit of rally crossing. We've now got 3 looking to make a move here up into 6th, 7th and 8th place. This is a good scrap here between Kell, Brewster and Stevens as they run now towards Graham Hill Bend. Looks like Brewster there just hanging on tough on the inside, but Stevens running the momentum around the outside. And we've got Carter looking around to pick up the pieces as well. So this little group all scrapping for the positions just inside the top 10. Good scrap between the set here.
Yeah, Dan Kell up from 12th to 6th. Unlucky for the Drakes. Both Brewster and Willis have both lost 4 places from the start, so 4th to 8th and 6th to 10th, but they'll be looking to make some progress up. But again, it's the soft tyres. It's Carter, Stevens, Kell. Those soft tyres are just working in this race 3 that they can, early on at least, pick off those medium tyre runners.
Herlock starting to size up Butcher here, both on the soft tyre, but interestingly, they've not been able to run away from Axon. He's hanging on in there. Here we've got Richardson recovering up to 16th. Not too bad from obviously the unfortunate finish to his second race. Looks like he has got one of the dregs for company. We've got Mitch Marie and one of the Brabhams getting well and truly friendly with each other. Into McLaren, we've got Cedo Wire. Thank you very much. Oh no! Richards
and
a bit
messy.
Yes, Richards and Marie, 2 and 1 do not go there.
No, they don't. It's the typical race 3 shenanigans of, well, even in the real world, it's it's a few weeks to the next race. Doesn't matter if we could get the dents out, but in sim racing the expenses are quite cheap, but it's not the best look, I must admit. This evening is a bit more argy-bargy going on. The BMW, that's another one to be sent into oblivion, and it's going to come back on. Hopefully, it doesn't take anyone else out, but not what we like to see, and that's going to be a bad rejoin if he's not careful, but he is kind of holding it just about all together.
Yeah, it looks like trying to figure out is the car pointing straight or not, but looks like he's kind of gathered that together there. Yeah, again, scrappy stuff, not ideal, but let's focus on this lead scrap now. Herlock continuing to pressure the back of Butcher, 0.3 of a second the gap. Herlock just using some of his boost. He doesn't have as much as Butcher, so he has to be slightly more strategic with it, but he is definitely paying very close attention to the back of that loadout Ford Focus, I beg your pardon. The RSR driver slowly building into the evening. He had a very good first round at Donington Park, and here he is yet again making some headway and looking for the top step. On the brakes now, down into Clearways and the exit of Clark Curve, going up the inside. No! More contact. Stevens that time on one of the Cupras.
Yeah, Stevens on Axon there, going into Clearways and Clark Curve, as Herlock uses the boost to take the lead. So that's a change for the lead. Hackett, the highest medium driver in 3rd place, is kind of in a little bit of, well, no, he's about half a second to Dan Kell behind him and everyone else ready to overtake. So I'll say a little bit of breathing room, not really. Carter's got the fastest lap there, and unlucky there with Axon. Again, it looks like people are kind of giving them an inch and they'll take a mile.
Sadly so, and again we can clearly see that the soft tyre is definitely giving a bit more pace and advantage, but that's perhaps not an excuse to drive through people. That's not quite how it works. So yes, hopefully we'll have a little bit, as the race starts to settle now, a little more patience from our drivers. I know it's a sprint, but that doesn't mean bumper cars. Absolute mayhem, says Kitty Cat in the chat. I would agree with that. But we are now approaching half distance in this one, as we've got Tom Stevens under pressure here from Carter, looking around the outside in his blue BMW. Up the inside, can he make it through Paddock Hill? Not this time. No,
I think he used the boost on the last lap. Now he's probably going to have a lap or two of not using it. Just kind of hold position for a bit. Make use again. Is it? I can't remember if he's on soft tyres. He is in 6th place. So it's just a battle of soft tyre drivers at the moment. Somehow Hackett is kind of hiding amongst them. Hopefully he hasn't realised. Maybe they all think he's on soft tyres and aren't racing him. But I imagine as we get later into the race, he may start to regret that medium choice in race 3. But So far, famous last words, so good.
Well, I was going to say, credit where credit's due. Substitute driver, I believe, for this round, Hackett, but he's doing a fantastic job. He's definitely keeping up with the soft runners. As you say, we're going to start to get to that crossover point where that soft tyre is going to start to seemingly drop off. So in a podium position in that blue and yellow Hyundai, and doing a great job. So good stuff.
I should also point out it's Hyundai, as
Hyundai.
as the adverts keep reminding us. So yeah, he's doing fantastic. Obviously, a bit of a gap now to second place, 1.6 seconds up the road, as fourth and fifth are getting a little bit argy-bargy. And this is good news for Hackett as well, is that those two at least are fighting. So maybe it gives Dan Kell the opportunity to race towards Hackett. But again, it's we're not saying fantastic tonight. We're just saying make hay while the sun shines.
Seemingly so. Perhaps a bit of Fast and Furious haymaking while we're at it, but
Especially down here.
Yeah, indeed. So just keeping an eye on the gaps. It's all starting to stabilise slightly. We've got the lead gap hovering about 0.8 of a second between Herlock and Butcher. We've then got this little scrap forming. But now let's have a look. Louis Neal here in 15th, having a bit of a look at, I think that's Jordan Osborne there. Jordan Richardson, beg your pardon. So scraps right up and down for all of the points playing positions, and look at this, we've got the Kings focus there having a look at Neil now. Attacker becomes defender.
Yep, and another place made up. That's the last. I mean, they're fighting for the last points playing position here. There's well, if you're going to open the door, I'll take it. Move there from, I think that is Richards up to 16th. As we look now at Jack London, we've got a few here. Jack London. Oh no, another one that gets sent into Narnia.
Narnia indeed. Yeah, Axon, we're hearing from our cameraman extraordinaire. Thank you very much, Tom. Doing fantastic work on the cameras for us this evening. So yes, a little bit untidy there, and I definitely think the diggers at Paddock Hill Bend are going to be busy lifting all these cars out the gravel.
I think there'll be a lot of recovery trucks on board later. I'm just having a look. Yeah, I mean, Axon's braked late a little bit and just kind of, he's got the inside line and kind of just goes straight on, and Cam isn't exactly at the edge on the left-hand side, but he's got to start turning right at some point, right? So yeah, you won't see it very well from this angle, but Cam's turning right thinking, well, Axon's got the inside line, and Axon doesn't really turn right. So yeah, that was unlucky from Axon. He's paid the price for it.
So lap 16 of 24, 8 more to go. As they run down through Paddock Hill Bend up to Druids for the 16th time of asking. Neil now in 14th place. He's got that King's car ahead of him now, and they are both taking a good and hard look at the unlimited Cupra that started on the front row of the grid, really giving it a hard time as they exit Graham Hill Bend. Having a little bit of a look up into Surtees, always a bit brave to do that. And a little bit of a misjudgment there, perhaps on the brakes, just running into the back of the car there. And again, we've now got Neil up into 13th, making the most of that little bit of miscommunication between the Cupra and the Focus. But here comes the Drake car. I believe that's of Richards.
Yeah, they're fighting for these last little points. Any scraps that they can get, they'll have. And they're going 2 by 2 towards Druids. And we'll see how this one plays out. Sort of 3 wide even. BMW needs to be careful. He's going to get pushed aside, but they're just, that's...
Oh, no! Yeah, 3 and 4 into 1 do not go, and unfortunately it's Skittles as they keep wrecking. Oh dear, 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 dear. That's a little bit untidy, folks. So that's not what we like to see, but cars coming across each other's noses, that is unfortunately what tends to happen. So Neil continues in 14th place there, a little bit untidy.
Yeah, we've also missed Hackett, has sadly lost a place. He is down now to 4th position. So that's, I think that's O'Leary. Aidan Carter up to 3rd. So we'll just have a quick look later as to what caused that. I think it's going to be a case of just having pushed the pass and just kind of, down the hill, and that was it. Into Druids, Aidan got him. So
Hackett, not all done for him either. It looks like he's got Stevens keeping him for very close company, putting pressure on. Interesting, as the laps go on, those soft tyres are still hanging in there, and Stevens almost pushing that Hyundai. Oh my goodness me, looks like we had a little bit of a server moment there, but pushing that car out of the exit of Clearways.
Yeah, I'm actually just looking at the front now, the top 3. Butcher is slowly catching up on Herlock. The gap now down to 6 tenths. I have to see what kind of boost is looking at. There's a little bit more argy-bargy going into, into turn 2, and that's just... I mean, obviously the Ford Focus there will go, well, if you guys want to barge each other out, I'll join in as well for good measure. As, just looking, Herlock and Butcher both have 5 laps left, as another car is sent to Thruxton with repairs required.
Indeed, the bodywork manufacturers and body shops of the local area are definitely going to have an uptick in business, but not what we like to see. We would like to see some clean racing, ladies and gents, but there we go. We've got what we've got at the moment. Let's focus on that lead battle if we can. Carter, once he's now cleared Hackett, has absolutely steamrolled his way up to the back of Chris Butcher. We've got 3 most definitely for the lead with 5 laps to go.
Yeah, it's definitely not finished. Carter suddenly just went, well, actually, I want a piece of this this win action. So he didn't do too well in race 1, P22, so he'll be happy with the podium. But the way he's going, yes, he's got less boost laps, but he seems to just have more speed. So it's definitely not over for him yet.
Indeed, I again wonder if it's just that slight difference in the drivetrain. Those rear-wheel drives are taking care of their tyres, perhaps a smidge better. Perhaps coming into its own here, but he's definitely got some pace, and he's definitely going to start asking some questions here. Everyone on the boost in the top 5, but it's very much honours even between Carter and Butcher. Onto the brakes, down into Paddock Hill Bend, looking to try and open up the steering, trying to get up the inside, but Butcher's wise to that. He's covered the inside on the brakes up into the Druids hairpin, but Carter trying all the way around the outside, trying to carry that momentum, not working this time.
This is good news for Herlock. Gives Herlock an opportunity to kind of run away, and that gap is now slowly increasing between first and second. And this is probably the closest battle we've got, and it is for second and third. Although there is a bit of a train from 7th down to 10th, as it's the 2 Brabham. Is it 2 Brabham Motorsport? No, tell a lie. It's just a lot of Civics.
So Civics 2x2, and I think you're right, Phil. I think it's 2 Drags and 2 Brabhams.
So
keeping some close company here. The Honda Civics getting some good racing and good airtime in. Good looking car, and being driven pretty gosh darn quickly. So we've got in this pack, we've got Brewster up front, Cripps behind him, Willis then followed by Wire. So they're having a good little scrap. Drag cars holding on to the positions in the top 10 there, but being challenged here around the outside. That's going to be a tricky one to pull off there, and looks like Brewster's just about held on.
Yeah, he has indeed. As just watching Butcher and Carter both using their boost. Again, that I think famous last commentator curse words that Herlock's going to hold on to it, but this race is also gonna intensify near the end. I'm sure there's going to be a dive somewhere. The race we've seen so far, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these gets whacked out into next week, as Carter does get that fastest lap indeed, and he really wants that second place as he's on the grass.
So has he got himself up the inside? Not really. A little bit of a kiss, a little bit of a nudge of that rear bumper of that Ford Focus. But look at that. He's been able to get the exit and the run. Can he complete it around the outside of Graham Hill? Not quite. They're still side by side. This is going to be brave stuff into Surtees. Will they run it side by side? Yes, they are. Is it going to be completed? Oh, gosh, hard to say with the track limits, but Carter, hats off, he's got it done.
He has got it done, and he also still has that last lap of boost, like Butcher, but also importantly, like Herlock. So Herlock should be good for this. As just having a quick look at the four Civics, very conveniently all staying together. They all are staying together.
Yes, they are. It looks like the gap opening up between the pair a little bit, perhaps, but they are all kind of still keeping each other quite honest. Some different lines being taken there on the way into Paddock Hill Bend, but we're on the lap 24 of 24, and it looks like with that little scrap between Carter and Butcher, Herlock has a little bit of a margin as he enters Surtees, McLaren, and clearways for the final time. Yeah,
Herlock's like Richardson in race 1, like O'Leary in race 2, has managed to check out, let everyone else have their own battles, and completes round 6 with a win.
So Herlock takes victory here in round 6 of VMO TCUK 2025 as we wait Carter and Butcher coming home in second and third, with Kell and Hackett rounding out the top 5. In our 2x2 of Honda Civics, we've got them finishing as they were. Brewster from Cripps, Willis from Wire, and then to round out the top 10, we've got Martha Allington, I think, just getting a run there to bring home 13th place. Lovely stuff.
Yeah, an extra point or two. Wouldn't say no to that, as Don't quite know what Mitchy Marie is doing, but he's going a little bit lawn cutting there. But was that an incident that happened at the end, or just fancy going very odd? Not quite sure what happened there, but I suppose it is the shortest run to the line, technically.
Certainly is a way to minimize the lap time, but I'm not sure if the radiators and the engine will thank him for that. But there we go. Race 3 in the books. Let's run through your finishing order, starting with our top 10. So Dan Herlock has won that race from Aidan Carter, Chris Butcher rounding out our podium, Dan Kell and Tom Hackett rounding out the top 5. Jack London for Calemelty finished in 6th, with Cameron Brewster for Drake Racing finishing 7th. Callum Cripps, Ben Willis and Cedar Wire rounded out our top 10 for Drake and Brabham respectively.
Tom Stevens there for Brabham Fassetti in 11th. O'Leary, I kind of, not quite the high hopes of race 3 he wanted, finishing in 12th. Martha Allington getting 13th at the line. Jordan Osborne, 14th position. Louis Deal getting a point in 15th. Scott Mitchell-Mama, 16th. Alan Axon, 17th. A bit unlucky there that both those Unlimiteds weren't able to get a decent run, considering they start on the front row. Alan Smith, 18th. Jordan Richardson, 19th. And Mitch Faree, 20th. And then rounding out for the evening, Callum Wilson, 21st. Matt Richards, 22nd. And Archie Jardine, all three unable to finish the race.
So that wraps up round 2, races 4, 5 and 6 here from Brands Hatch Indy. It's been a hot day. It's been a hot day out on the track, and it's definitely been a bit feisty, perhaps a bit more feisty than we'd like to see out there. But our next round will be in 2 weeks' time in Hampshire, Thruxton, the fastest track in the UK, where we'll hopefully have some more close racing, but perhaps not as close as we saw tonight. We will see. I'm not sure about you, Phil. It's warm. My voice is starting to go, but perhaps leave us with your final thoughts here tonight.
My voice has pretty much gone at the end there. It's been, you have to say, it has been some fantastic racing in round 12. If you ignore turn 1, lap 1, ignore, sadly, quite a lot of race 3 there. It's been some great racing. No, it's actually, that's unfair. It's been good racing at the front. Again, we've got 3 different winners. Obviously, O'Leary, the only one there getting his double win. Although Herlock won in the first evening as well. So we've got a couple of double winners, and the championship contenders are starting to just put their stall out, I think. So, yeah, excited to see what happens next race in 2 weeks.
Indeed so. So, yes, just to reiterate, we do love ourselves some touring car racing. We love it to be a bit physical, but perhaps not that physical. But like I say, one of those things I'm sure stewards are going to be busy and trying to sort that one out. But putting that to one side, another evening of racing in the books here for VMO TCUK 2025. 2 weeks' time, we'll be at Thruxton, as mentioned. My name has been Matthew Chogwin. On behalf of myself, Phil, and our cameraman, Tom, thank you so much for joining us this evening, and we hope to see you in 2 weeks' time at Thruxton.